Hey guys, this is Nick from Beer and Bat Reps. We got Noah here,
Hey.
and today on Beer and Banter, or Coffee and Banter, because it's morning, we're going to talk about Chaos Knights. It's kind of a small book.
Small but solid.
Yeah.
There's no bad units, I don't think.
Well, we did your Ultramarines last time, because it's pretty much your main army.
Yeah.
I feel like throughout 8th edition, this has been my favorite so far. It gives me a lot of flexibility. I'd say maybe, in terms of sheer power, they're not as good as my AdMech. But my AdMech just kind of sit there statically, and that can get boring. So that's why I like these guys.
Yeah, Knights can be a little tough if you have a lot of the ITC rules, the magic boxes. That's really their only big drawback. Because other than that, and maybe holding objectives.
Oh yeah,
But
just like any super elite army.
Any big machines, low model count always.
The time of Knights dominating the battlefield has passed in 8th edition, but Chaos Knights have enough flexibility that they're still pretty good. I brought into that tournament and finished 4th.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
And they have a lot of tricks, and they get to do all their upgrades at the beginning of the game as opposed to building like relics and warlord traits in your list. So that's super nice and handy, which ITC lets you do anyway, but they can do in any format, which is very
And you do it
fun.
after you see your opponent.
Yep.
Creates a super flexibility.
It's all just before game stratagems, so yeah.
First thing real quick I want to talk about is the way to actually build it. There's only one Chaos Knight box, as you can see, the Desecrator. It only builds the Desecrator, which is this kind of funky one with the laser cannon that buffs the War Dogs, or it builds the Rampager, which is the combat version. If you want to build any other type, like the Despoiler, and we'll go through them each real quick, but you're going to have to buy regular Imperial Knight box sets, and then, go through your bits box for Chaos bits and chaos them up. I haven't done that yet. I kind of found a 3D printed Egyptian head that I put on this one. I kit bashed this one to have some spider legs from the Doom Crawler just to make it a little more, chaotic, creepy. Yeah. This one is just bare bones, straight out of the Imperial one. I'm going to hopefully get some bits from this and, have some chains. I may even put some real jewelry chains hanging off it. Something like that.
It won't be static. That'll be cool.
The reason I didn't go incredibly chaos looking is because for a while I wanted to use them as each and just depending on the day. But since you have Imperial Knights, I figured I'll just go straight Chaos Knights and call it a day.
They definitely, I would say, are better than regular Knights, but they're not as versatile. Like the households for Imperial, there's tons of choices. You get lots of combinations. But being able to dual wield your favorite weapon is for Chaos only, and it is awesome.
It's the reason to bring Chaos, other than if you just love Chaos as a faction. In terms of suit building, if it's not mono, Imperial has the option of bringing like 3 Knights and 3 Limited Russes. Cool little builds like that, or what you see a lot is AdMech with Knights. But Chaos, like I do, can bring like Mortarion. And that's what I bring to tournaments. I bring 5 Knights and Mortarion. And it's pretty mean. I mean, you lose.
Rough.
If you face a bunch of Haywire, they don't really have anything to take on Mortarion. If you face people that have a ton of poison, then they usually struggle against the Knights. So it's a good combo. But like you said, can struggle holding objectives.
That's really
hopefully what these autocannon ones are
biggest
for.
Drawback probably. As a pure Knight army or big models.
So you kind of touched on it. The Imperial Knights just have a ton of houses. These only have 2 houses to choose from. You have the Iconoclast Household Ambition. It's called Conquerors Without Mercy. And basically Iconoclast is there if you want to be up close and personal and stomp. That's the one I bring. It's just an extra attack and armor penetration in combat.
Which is so good for stomps. You basically never use any other weapons because now all of a sudden you don't get 1 extra attack with stomps, you get 3 extra. Yeah. And then an extra rend makes them what, -3?
-3.
Yeah, so good luck.
And it gives you even more reason to go dual wield with the guns.
Right. Well, and you can give them a warlord trait for another attack, right? Did they put that in there? So you can
just +1 attack.
You can get your knight up to what, like 21 stomp attacks.
And that's just the beginning. There's some weird combos we'll show you here in a minute, but you can get it really cheesy in terms of attacks. It doesn't come up as often, but so if you want to be either incredibly aggressive or well balanced with lots of guns but also good at combat, Iconoclast Household is that for you. The next one is Infernal. and it's called Demonic Surge. This one's a little weird. You roll a D3, and it's going to give you a different bonus.
Or you can just pick, right? If you want to take more mortal wounds.
Right, so you give yourself, like say it's this guy, you give yourself 1 mortal wound and roll on this random chart, and you're either going to add 2 inches to its move characteristic and add 1 to its advance and charge rolls, or you're either going to add a toughness or an attack. But the attack one also adds a damage to any weapon of your choice. So like this guy with the flamer, you would end up... I said attack, it's strength. Sorry, strength and damage, the third option. So you'd end up with like a flamer that's strength 8, damage 3. You know, so there's some wacky ways you can do that. I think that one's exceptionally good for if you want to go shooty. So like an Avenger Gatling cannon that's now strength 8, damage 3 with 12 shots. It's pretty gross.
Pretty good.
If you took the other version of the big tyrant.
Oh yeah, with the 2 cannons.
The volcano.
The
Castellan, yeah. That's your way of kind of getting Call's Wrath, is you can take the plasma gun and add a damage and a strength, and now all of a sudden it's the same as Call's Wrath. And the reason you can kind of choose that is instead of taking 1 mortal wound, you can choose to take D3 and kind of gamble.
You want to pick.
And that way you get to pick. And that's kind of what you do if you just
honestly,
want, like...
I would pick every game, and because really, math-wise, you're only taking 1 more mortal wound. Because you should take 2.
And Infernal Household has the only ways of healing knights, so it's kind of like begging you to wound yourself so that you can re-heal it.
Like, it's fine.
I mean, so you could choose to have an army of knights with toughness 9 every turn.
Is so dumb.
Or you could have an army of knights that are all...
I would do that every time.
You know, adding 2 inches to its move and 1 to its advance and charge, which is alright.
They're good.
But
they're fast.
You could add a strength and a damage to its stomps if you wanted to.
Yeah, some strength 9, D3 plus 1 damage.
Yeah. So
which is good. I mean, if you know.
When you get into their relics, warlock traits, and stratagems, that's where they really separate, because this one where you wound yourself also has all the ways to heal yourself, so that's kind of their whole thing, whereas the other one has the most balance. The main reason I go Iconoclast is because it has a lot of the same things you can get from Imperial Knights. You can get the 4-up invul all the time.
Which is so good.
You can't get the 2-up armor, unfortunately.
No.
But we'll go through the units real quick. It's a small book, guys. It's like 5 options. Main one from right here in the front is the War Dog. And it's just like in the Imperial Knights. So you've got your Thermal Spear Chain Cleaver one, and then you have, you know, everyone's favorite, the dual autocannon.
The Halvern equivalent,
yeah.
Super good. Just, you do want something to sit on objectives, usually as such a low model count, and you can pump out those guys. What are they, like just a little under 160?
Yeah, because they dropped in chapter approved.
I mean, you throw 2 of those in your list, you got objective campers, their range is solid, they can move and shoot with no penalty.
I try to bring 2 every time. And if you went the Infernal route, you could have one of his 2 autocannons could be damaged flat 4, which is hilarious, ridiculous. I mean, it's only AP -1, so you're like the pressure's all on your opponent to pass their save, or else they take 4 wounds.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So yeah, that's those guys. They're fast. They move 14 inches, so they can get where you need to get. I mean, that's all knights, though. They're all so fast. This guy's the only slow one, really. It's still 10 inches.
A little overcosted, but hey.
But the idea that this is only basically 160 now, I mean, that's like... There are last game dreadnoughts that cost that much, you know? It's just like...
Right, I'd be running 3.
They're so good. I mean, I wouldn't mind trying out a list that has 8.
Right, you can bring those squads, right?
Yeah, so you can bring 9 total, because a rule of 3 really is each selection can bring 3. So you can bring 9.
Yeah, and you still have big knights in your list.
I mean...
1, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and we might as well talk about him next. The Desecrator is the exact same as the Imperial Knights one, is in that he gives out a bubble that gives these guys reroll 1s to hit, which is huge. It's the only way to have a bubble of that.
Yeah, it's good.
He's basically a captain for the War Dogs. That being said, he's not that great on the battlefield. I tried him a couple times.
Yeah, it's just
there's a relic version of his laser cannon that's way better, because it's 3 shots instead of D3.
Something
So
like
it's
that. But
way more
still,
important.
just the number of shots is very minimal. When you can just throw 2 thermal cannons on a normal night and you're pumping out way more damage.
So a lot of 8th, at least since this came out, I've been running the dual thermal nights. I run 3 despoilers with the dual thermal. And that was good for a long time, but I really think dual Avenger Gatling's going to come back because of so much Primaris.
Yeah, and just infantry in general.
That damage too. But you start looking at the stats, I don't know, we're getting into that now, but I was thinking about it earlier, and the dual Avenger Gatling Cannon Knight is not that much different damage output than a Leviathan Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot more.
A lot. It's also a lot harder to kill.
One's 4 pinball all the time. I don't know. It's
just
more wounds.
wise.
It's got 10 more wounds
Yeah.
than the Leviathan. But the Leviathan has a 2 of armor and a 4
Oh,
pinball.
yeah. Well, that's why it's Forge World. It's better.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Not always. The Forge World Knights nowadays aren't really
Right.
better.
Yeah, they're super awesome, though. Oh, my gosh. Those models are great.
Oh, yeah.
But...
So, to finish up War Dogs, there are some new Forge World War Dogs that are apparently really good. I've not tried them out yet. There's one that's anti-horde. I'm forgetting the name. It has lightning gauntlets. I'm sure you guys have looked them up before, or at least heard about them. So yeah, the Desecrator, it dropped a lot in points in Chapter Approved, but I don't think we'll see the table that much. I'm going to use this box set more to kit out the rest of my knights.
Make them look chaos.
Just build a Rampager, the combat one.
Yeah, they do have some awesome bits in this box for sure. All the different face plates are super cool. Like, just little chains, skulls, chaos icons. The works.
Yeah, instead of a fist, it's a claw.
Yeah,
it's
with
cool.
like Wolverine spikes
Yeah.
coming out of it. I'm like, it's pretty. It
It's
looks
pretty
like it
cool.
should be better than the Imperium one, but
Yeah.
it's the same.
And it doesn't. The model doesn't come with any of the Carapace shoulder-mounted guns.
That's weird.
It's very weird because the two knights this builds, you can't even take them.
Oh, okay.
It's very strange. They wanted more room to put the
Right.
skulls and spikes all over it, I guess.
Can't have those guns getting in the way of your decor.
I'm not going to go through every weapon loadout. You've seen knights. You've played knights. You've watched battle reports with knights.
Yeah.
The tyrants are the big ones. 28 wounds. Their weapon loadouts.
Yeah.
Basically, what I just wanted to bring up was the difference between the Chaos version and the Imperial Knights version.
Yeah.
And mainly it's that they're still overcosted.
Yeah, they're just, and I just find them so weird because you have to, in both sides, Chaos and
Yep.
Imperium, you get these awesome, pretty solid range cannons on your shoulders, and then you have 4 multi-guns. And it's okay, that's cool, but I don't really want my gun knight to be within 12 inches of anything.
You gotta think they're charging, 17 a piece for those Melta-guns?
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, you could easily drop 40 or so points if you could get rid of them, or replace them with heavy stubbers.
4 heavy stubbers would be awesome.
That'd be great. You'd
Yeah,
love
it'd be
it.
so much better.
I do love the idea of the giant harpoon, and it does just explode stuff, but there's so many things with invul saves. It's like, oh cool, I hit you and wounded you, and I did nothing with my one shot. It's one of my pet peeves in Warhammer. I hate single shot weapons. I hate them.
It's too much. It's just too much of a gamble.
Yeah, I mean they're great when they work. I mean flat 10 damage plus D3 mortal wounds.
It's crazy.
It's fun. It's very fun, and it's a cool idea, but I don't know.
I went with
practical.
I went with Rule of Cool on this guy.
Yeah.
I thought Chaos should have the Flamer.
And the Flamer is very good. It's one of the better ones, if not the best in the game.
Yeah. I have the other guns for the other variant painted. I'm just working on magnetizing it so I can swap them in and out. And I think that one would be alright just because the rest of my army is so aggressive. You can just sit in the back.
Yeah, lots of points, like 700 or something
700,
for those guys.
like 705. The way I like to do 4 missiles on that one just because that gives me 4 turns to shoot a missile. And those are really good, but really random too. Single shot weapon.
Again, I mean, ignoring invols is super clutch. It can target characters with a stratagem. So yeah, it's definitely very versatile. I just don't like how all over the place it is. And then, like you always bring up, you're paying for the toughness and the stomps, so you do want to get him into combat, and you don't really want him to go to combat.
Because like I was saying, the dual Gatling one, the main difference between it and a Leviathan is that it's good at combat.
Very
and the Leviathan's
good.
not.
Yeah, Leviathan sucks.
So if you're not getting them in there to stomp, then you might as well just buy a Leviathan. So, I mean, Leviathan's better at this point anyway. But anyway, point for point. I mean, I think you had the points pulled up. The dual Avenger is like 485 for the two Avengers.
Yeah, and I think
it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points.
What, the Leviathan's 303, I think?
Yeah, without any of the Hunter Killer.
Yeah, it's 300 basically. Like, and you're getting a pretty solid platform there too. But I do like that Chaos Knights can bring double weapons. That's the only thing I've ever really been jealous of.
Yeah. I used to run the dual Cannon Knight, and you send them all the way in the back corner of the battlefield because you shoot 72 inches.
But yeah, again,
that's kind of nice.
You're not stomping stuff.
Exactly. So
you really
it's hard.
And you know the range on the other guns is 36 plus you're moving 12, so it's not like you're going to get outranged for very long, if at all. Which really, and when you show up with 5 knights, it kind of it's intimidating.
Oh, for sure. The reason I like to go 3 all with dual thermal is that I feel like I got stomps for hordes and for marines, and I have thermal for vehicles and monsters. So it gives me, good coverage. I think my best pure knight list is 3 despoilers all with dual thermal, and then 4 war dogs with autocannons.
Yep.
7 knights. It's a lot of shooting. It's actually a really strong alpha strike.
Solid toughness, invols across the army, 3-up armor.
Other thing that I sometimes do is I replace, I think, three of the 4 war dogs with Mortarion.
Yeah.
And I just run that. But then it's not mono, and then you just chaos soup, and there's way better chaos soup than knights.
Yes.
So
it's kind of surprising they don't make it into chaos soup at all. Even just one.
There's a Team Happy, not to name drop anybody. There's a Team Happy player who I think I heard brings the dual thermal, maybe just one of them.
Yeah,
he's only 397, and with this shoulder gun that ignores line of sight, you're talking like just a little over 410.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
No, very solid option.
So then you get to the Rampager, which is the combat version. I think he's on the back there.
Boom, big scary.
Yeah,
looks very cool. Actually, he's wearing the cool helmet or faceplate.
The special thing about the Rampager compared to the Gallant is that 6 is to hit in combat with the chainsword. I think they inflict 2 hits. Yeah, it scores 1 additional hit, not an additional attack, another hit, called Frenzied Rampage. Not that many people are using the chainsword.
Right, usually you're going stomps.
Oh, it's chainsword or gauntlet.
Okay.
Alright, so that changes a little bit. 6s are 2 hits. You almost always stomp, especially with this guy, because he's hitting on 2s because his weapon skill 2+.
Yeah.
And he has an extra attack. He starts with 5 attacks, and then if you run Iconoclast like I do, that's 6 attacks, so then you're at 18 attacks.
Yeah.
You give him the Warlord trait that's +1 attack, now you're at 21 attacks that hit on 2s.
Right, and they do have some tricks, like if you play another knight army, or, say you see Gulliman out there, or someone he's tough, he's beefy, he's got a great save. They do have a little trick that you would probably use the sword when you used it, because you're probably fighting something big, and it's once per game. Is it just combat phase? I believe you can have your knight ignore the opponent's invul saves.
Yep, it's incredibly good. It's
terrifying. You're like, well, now I have to shoot it.
So they kind of each Chaos God has their own bonus.
Oh, that's cool.
Trying to find it. I know it's the corn one. Well, basically, it is 1 CP before the game starts. Where are you at, man? Is it a artifact?
Maybe.
Yes, corn at target. So it's an artifact. Once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, a model with this relic can activate it. When it does, until the end of that phase, invulnerable saves cannot be made against this attacks made with melee weapons. It also affects the knight himself. Neither can use invuls, but your knight doesn't have an invul in combat, so who cares? But you do have to give him this. It's one of the relics that you have to give him at the beginning of the game. So your opponent knows which knight can ignore invulns.
Big scary.
So they tend to stay away. It hasn't come up too often. I think maybe I've jumped on Goleman once with it.
Yeah, or even like, other big Primarchs, Magnus, Mortarion, like, or even just like a stupid little Smash Captain. You're like, you know what? You're dead.
I've definitely...
I'm not dealing with this.
I've definitely thrown like 7 fist attacks at a Grey Knight in the Dread Knight armor, the Grandmaster and Dread Knight, who had a 3-up invul, and I was just like, no invul, and just
dead.
Put like 36 wounds on him.
Yeah, just dead. Real quick.
There was that tournament I finished 4th. I fought against a 10-pack of Terminators with Storm Shields, so that was handy.
Like, goodbye.
I mean, even with -3, they still had a 5-up save, but it helped. That being said, he's also the best one to use the... they have the grip...
Oh, Death Grip.
Death Grip as well, so...
It's a great stratagem. Super fun, super thematic, and really pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't hear about it as often anymore just because people aren't bringing Knights that often anymore.
Or Smash Captains for that.
Yeah, exactly. There's some wild ones. Basically, I'll go through the ones that are specific to each one. So, Iconoclast, you have Break the Enemy Line for 2 CP. When you're in combat, you can reroll all your hit rolls.
So pretty good, especially if you're bracketed or something. Down there on your last legs, and you're like, no, I hit on 4s or 5s, re-rolling everything.
So Iconoclasts are the only ones that can take these vows. Vows are stratagems that you do at the beginning of the game, before the game starts, after you see your opponent. So you got Vow of Carnage, Iconoclast Household. Every 10 models you destroy, whether that's shooting or combat, you gain an attack in combat. So that's how you can get these
crazy
knights up to an insane amount of attacks.
Especially, playing a horde, you're bringing that. You're starting them at 7 attacks, and then probably into the game, you're maybe up to 10.
Just 30 stomps, no big deal.
Everyone's...
I've also heard people doing that on the Dual Avenger, and you gain all your attacks on your way there by shooting hordes with the Avenger Gatling cannons, and then by the time you get to combat, you've got 8 stomp attacks. Then you have the Vow of Dominance. This one is wound rolls of 1, 2, or 3 always fail, irrespective of any abilities, and it's really unmodified. So you can only be wounded on a 4-up. I always have the option to take it. I don't think I've ever taken it.
Yeah, well, most people aren't bringing a ton of las cannons anymore, and it's really, you'd want it if someone had like buffs, like a chaplain, +1 to wound is pretty clutch. All of a sudden, your las cannon can wound them on 2s.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh no, it can't.
But you can choose it after you see your opponent.
Right.
So you look at your opponent and you go, wait, no las cannons, 1 Melta. I'm not going to spend 2 CP on this.
Right.
So yes, if you line up against the Iron Hands army with all the executioner repulsors, yeah, you're going to want that. But
or like a combat knight army. You're like, cool, come at me, dude.
You move me on force.
Yeah, no matter what weapon you use. So.
But even then,
it has its place, but it's
the
not.
Knights could just choose a stomp, and then it's like we wasted our 2 CP. I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely going to be a time where I definitely bring it, but as for right now, nah.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of strength 9.
This is one I bring every single game. It's called Vow of Beast Slayer. It's only 1 CP. Against any opponents with a wounds characteristic of 8 or higher, you re-roll wound rolls of 1. So now my dual thermal, when he's shooting at tanks, is re-rolling wound rolls of 1. It's amazing. Yeah, it's very good. You just have your own little lieutenant following you around. Basically,
he's in there.
Yeah, he's
he hops in the cockpit.
It's great, but obviously you can base it on your opponent. If you're facing a horde of Primaris, there's no reason to bring it. But typically 8 or more wounds, that's going to be in most armies.
It's something out there.
Even like orcs will have flyers and trucks. You know what I mean? Like you can find a use for it. I'd say the best CP all around that they have and Imperial Knights don't have is for 2 CP. You can reroll all hit rolls in the shooting phase. Yeah. So your dual wield 24 shot Avenger Gatling Cannon Knight is just rerolling all misses. It's really, really good.
Yep, and then if you give him the other stratagem, it's rerolling wounds. 1.
Yep, so what I like to do is I have one that rerolls 1s to wound, and then I give him that for the rerolls. Especially if I'm facing a lot of like Eldar flyers with a lot of minuses to hit. I shoot him at 1, and then the other one, the most important one, is Helm of Warp Sight. It's an artifact. You can't give it to the big knight. So unfortunately, the big knight can't have it. But when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a model with this relic, ignore hit roll modifiers.
Right.
So I can't tell you enough how good that is on a dual wield thermal against like a -3 to hit or -2 to hit Eldar flyer. You're just like, nope, I'm in on 3s. That's it.
Yeah, gotcha.
He one-shots every flyer. I've never failed to kill a flyer, basically, unless I roll like Snake Eyes on his 2d6 shots.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you should pump out enough. And even with like a 5-up invul and a 6-up feel no pain on Hemlocks, it's going to cover it.
It's really good. So if you're facing flyer spam, like I think nowadays you do see some like Space Marine flyer spam with Iron Hands.
A little bit, yeah.
You can have one that has all the rerolls, another one that ignores all the minuses to hit, and then there's a stratagem for War Dog specifically that gives you bonuses against flyers. So you have good ways to get around that minuses to hit.
Which are so annoying.
And there's just, I mean, it also puts a big target on him. Everyone goes after the knight that ignores modifiers. I mean, he's the most important knight.
But hey, you got the 4-up invul, so...
So, if you are way into the Chaos Gods, we already talked about the Khorne one. That's the one that gives you ignore invuls, which is just crazy. There's a Tzeentch one that gives it's called Tzeentchian Pyro Throne, and they basically mark a Tzeentch. And you have a knight now that has Smite.
And he can deny?
He can attempt to deny 2 powers in your opponent's psychic phase, and he knows Smite. It's pretty amazing. If he dies because of Perils of the Warp, he auto blows up too. Which is just, if you got 1 wound left and you're near all your opponents, try to get those double ones.
Maybe a reroll.
But, depending on your opponent, like we said, you can choose these after your opponent. So you face Thousand Suns, you're going to want 2 denies.
Yeah, or Grey Knights, any Psyker heavy list.
So then the next one of the Chaos Gods, you have the Putrid Carapace of Nurgle, of course. Every successful saving throw in combat, you roll a dice on a 4-up, the attacker suffered a mortal wound. So if you're facing like, I don't know, 1,000,000 Gene Stealers,
right,
and they put 20 wounds on you and you save...
Like, what,
yep,
15 of them?
15, now all of a sudden they take 7 mortal wounds back.
Right.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, again, it's very specific, but if you were playing a combat, like, horde, yeah.
I mean, honestly... We just keep coming back to the fact that you choose it after your opponent. So this is like actually one of the most flexible armies in Warhammer.
That's why I think they're still pretty solid, even with only 6 models in their whole list or whatever. Like, not a ton of options, but they're very versatile.
Yeah, you get to the Quicksilver Throne of Slaanesh, as you can expect. Slaanesh is going to give you +1 to your advance or charge. And it also gives you always fight first in the fight phase, even if they didn't charge. With the normal rule where if your opponent also has that rule, you alternate. Now, if you think about that +1 to advance and charge, there was already that Infernal Household +1 to advance and charge.
Oh,
and
yeah.
+2 your movement. So now you're 14-inch movement and adding 2 to your advance, 2 to your charge, and they have the full tilt stratagem, just like Imperial Knights, where you can advance and charge. So that's your combat knight thrown across the field.
I mean, that's like what?
It's not as devastating as it used to be because people just learned to create bubble wrap. But, man, that really shocked 8th edition when that was first came out with Imperial Knights.
Oh, yeah. The
He had his green, he has a green painted gallant that would just be like, I'm going 40 inches.
Yeah, I mean, I think on average, even without the plus to movement and anything, because Imperium doesn't really get that, you're still talking an average of like 24?
What is Imperium?
There's a household trait.
Well, there's a warlord trait and then a household that gives you a bonus too. But you usually don't run that one. But
you want to run Krast.
Right. Basically.
They're the combat experts.
So there's a couple other good ones. The Veil of Medrengard is Iconoclast only. And this is one of the main reasons to go Iconoclast is because it's the 4-up invulnerable all the time. So... it's very important.
Saving a lot of command points.
Yeah.
And it means 2 of your knights can have a 4-up, which is it's a headache.
To counter that, Infernal Household has a relic that is double the number of wounds remaining for purposes of determining what row on the damage table. So now you're starting to see that whereas with Imperial Knights, you got to choose one of these households that gives you this bonus. Your Chaos Knights can kind of take all of it because they're relics instead of household bonuses.
Right. So they are more versatile for sure, but
one thing I really
they're
like,
hard to play.
I think it's a Warlord trait. I don't have the Warlord traits pulled up, but basically there's one that makes your guy objective secured and count as 10 models.
Yeah. They have that.
Infernal Quest, yeah. He's 10 models and objective secured. So I've actually done that on one of these guys in a tournament, which is kind of nice. Just sit him back on an objective, and if they get there, he's still 10 models.
Yeah, it's hard to take him.
But the main one I do, it's kind of boring, but just Knight Diabolus, a Warlord trait. It's real simple, just +1 attack.
Yep.
None of the new stuff where it's only when you're charged, or pile in, or whatever. It's just +1 attack all the time. Which is pretty great because Iconoclast already gives you an extra attack. So
it's +2 is silly.
Got some other ones. You got Eager for the Kill Warlord trait, which is another one to advance and charge. So you can get a Knight to +3 advance, +3 charge, and +2 movement. Yeah. And actually, you can get it even further, which is it gets just dumb at this point. But basically, Dreadblades is a thing. I don't want to go too deep into that. But basically, you choose one negative thing and 2 positive things for a Knight if you want it to. But one of them is add to the model's move characteristics. So you can have a Knight with +4 movement and +3 to advance and charge.
You're getting there turn 1.
Or you can spread it out if you want a combat army that's just fast.
Yeah.
Have each Knight have a bonus to it. I mean, if you've ever played Imperial Knights, if you've ever seen a battle report, it's basically the same army. You just have more bonuses. So Imperial Knight players are going to complain a little bit, especially because the thermal cannons are cheaper for Chaos Knights.
For some fun reason.
Yeah.
Thanks, GW.
Fun with an asterisk.
What was your logic behind that?
Sell more.
Sales.
Yeah. I think another reason you may lean towards these guys is that crazy flexibility. The only thing they don't have, in my opinion, that I really wish they did is there's an artifact in Imperial Knights that just gives you a 2-up armor.
Yep.
I love it. It was my favorite when I ran.
It's great because you get to combat. You don't have an invul save with Knights typically, and the 2-up really comes in handy. You're like, or just it makes little arms just bounce.
Well, a lot of guns nowadays are -2.
Yep.
So you can have one 2-up Knight and one 4-Binball Knight, and it's like they both have 4 Binballs, basically. Like, it was handy. I like Chaos Knights because I like to sprinkle in Mortarion or Magnus. I think it's kind of fun. Just gives them a little bit different, feel to it. You could do some wild combos of like triple thermal despoilers and then like 1,000 Sun sorcerers. Fun stuff like
Supreme
that.
Command.
Yeah, I think you have just as many options as Imperial Soup for mixing Knights.
If not more.
And honestly, Imperial Soup and Chaos Soup are some of the strongest things in the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, as they should be. The more options you have, the more combinations you can make, and the more combinations you can make, the better you're gonna find the best ones.
Yeah.
And just synergy is huge in competitive play.
I was just noticing on the cover, they're stomping on an Ultramarines banner.
Oh, no. Well, he's the bannerman, so he'll get to fight again.
Right, exactly. Maybe we'll have to. Maybe we'll see that pretty soon. Ultramarines versus.
I think Gollum could take down a knight. I need to
finish painting before. Him. We've definitely seen that before. Really good at it. But yeah, guys, this is a pretty quick one. It's not as in depth as the Ultramarines one because there's just. I mean, the book is very thin.
Yeah,
there's not much to it.
I'm pretty sure the Ultramarines have more named characters than you have. Options for
just options.
Yeah, just units. So
still the good 2.5 pages of stratagems.
Oh yeah, well worth it. It's nice and they're fun. Not a ton of people play pure Chaos Knights, so and you get all these cool like unique. If you go outside GW, you can get awesome little additions that are very chaos feeling.
Yeah, there's a lot of good 3D printed websites now for different Knight add-ons. There's whole websites that just sell like the shoulder armor plating with like crazy demon faces leering out and stuff like that. You can get really into it. At a lot of our local tournaments, you pretty much always see Imperial Knights. At least like a third of the tables, someone will sprinkle those in. So it is nice to bust out Chaos Knights and just see the reaction on people's faces when I say my combat knight ignores symbols in combat. I mean, people just they just don't know about this army. It just came and went quick. You didn't hear much about it.
Yeah. I mean,
it shocks some people. Having that much firepower that can ignore modifiers, it just like ruins an Eldar player's day.
Right. It just the one thing that I don't get. I mean, maybe they're coming out with another box, but this is the only box you can get, like we mentioned before. And to get 2 thermals or 2 Gatlings, you have to either go online or you'd have to buy 2 knights and then mix and match them, because it's like, man, why aren't they just selling the weapon sprue? They could charge like $20 and people would eat it.
They go for like 40 on each.
Right, because you have to buy a whole night box just to get it.
And I changed my mind a lot, but you'll see my knights. My whole army's painted, but then the thermals aren't painted because it's a new edition. You know, like I've just recently put those on, so bear with us on the fully painted part of it. Eventually, they'll look all brass and burnt up like this guy's. Hopefully, we'll get them on the field here pretty soon.
Yeah,
not much else to it.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Lots of good combos. Really fun to paint. Big, nice, smooth surfaces if you're good at freehand. I'm not, but...
Yeah, these guys are definitely work in progress. I like my color scheme, but I have a lot of, like with a lot of good Imperial Knights, a lot of transfers to put on.
Yeah. I gotta get started that.
I gotta get better at transfers on the curved surfaces, because they end up with a little wrinkle in them.
Yeah, what you have to do is cut them. You actually take a razor blade before you put on and like do little slices around the edge, because I did all that with the
it's hard because the transfers I chose for these guys are from an out of print Warhammer Fantasy army.
Right, and so that's the kicker with like, ultramarine symbols. I have a stack of those from over the years.
And they're cheap, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so, oh no, I messed up one of those symbols. I have 70 more. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, definitely a solid army. They're very fun. You surprise some people when you're like, oh, yep, here's my 6 knights. Enjoy.
Fast and tough. Flexible. That's the main thing. So flexible.
Easy to store and transport too.
Yeah, just magnetize everything. Yeah. And honestly, like if you even retail, you're talking about a whole army for like $350, $450, something like that. So it's not bad. If you got these new players asking how much Warhammer costs, just tell them it's the price of like a new PS5 when it comes out. Yeah, basically. Like it'll be $500 and you'll be done. That's if you buy retail. Yeah. But thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Definitely.
I love these little beer and banters. But yeah, cheers. A little coffee cheers.
Right. Woo. Until next time.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. We'll be back. Thanks. Later.